So the question is, what supplements do you suggest to help sleep more deeply to maximize recovery? Okay, so when it comes to recovery, sleep is the biggest thing. So I kind of have a hierarchy when it comes to this. First is sleep, second is nutrition. If you're not getting adequate sleep, it doesn't matter how good your nutrition is, it doesn't matter how good your training is, you will not recover. You'll just keep wearing yourself down. For some reason, we've evolved so that when we sleep, we recover best at that time. So best kind of supplementation when it comes to helping you sleep is, first, you want to be able to get yourself into more of a parasympathetic state to begin with, just to be able to sleep. So first thing you should do before even looking at supplementation, 1, be hydrated. 2, ensure that you're kind of calming your mind down in the evening before you go to bed. Turn off the news, turn off any blue light emitting screens. There are apps and programs and options on a lot of new devices to more redshift things so that you're not getting that harsh blue light, which stimulates serotonin as opposed to melatonin in the brain. Now, when it comes to actual supplementation for sleep, the number one thing out there that always gets put out is melatonin. Now, I'm not a big fan of taking melatonin chronically. Acutely, like once in a blue moon, or if you're traveling, using melatonin can definitely help. It can also help with some detoxification pathways. But for the most part, most people only really need 1 milligram of melatonin to help them sleep. You'll see products out there where it'll be up to 10 milligrams. That'll knock out a horse. If you're really struggling to sleep off of 1 milligram of melatonin, 30 minutes later or an hour later, take 1 more milligram. Is all that should ever be needed. As for direct supplements, some of my favorite ones when it comes to not just sleep but relaxation is a high quality magnesium chelate. When it comes to trying to get into more of a sleep type state, magnesium threonate is the best one. It helps, it's the magnesium form that passes the blood-brain barrier the easiest, the fastest, and is the most effective. It impacts and interacts more so with neural tissue than other forms of magnesium. Like magnesium bisglycinate and glycinate more so works with musculoskeletal tissue. Orotate works more so with cardiac tissue. So different types of magnesium interact with different tissues in the body a little bit differently. Magnesium threonate interacts with the mind, gets you into more of that parasympathetic state a lot easier and a lot faster. If you're unable to get magnesium threonate because it is fairly expensive, you could also look at magnesium taurate and magnesium glycophosphate. Those are other forms that can help. For relaxation and deep sleep as well, inositol is a good one. Now, if your neurotransmitters are a little bit thrown out of whack from lifestyle and whatnot, you can have some quite interesting vivid dreams as a little bit of a side effect from inositol. So don't be alarmed if all of a sudden you're having dreams that you haven't had in 20 years, or if the dream is just very vivid and you remember it clear as day when you wake up. This will usually subside in a couple of days from inositol supplementation. Another supplement that can help with getting a good deep sleep is L-theanine. Using it in conjunction with magnesium, it has been shown to actually increase the efficacy of magnesium, as well as both of them taken in conjunction with each other helps the body just sleep a little bit better. Now, in terms of, this isn't necessarily supplementation-wise, but it's nutritionally. A lot of people, after they have a high glycemic index carbohydrate intake, or like a really high starchy type of carb at their later meal, they're going to be more in a state to rest and digest. One of the things that a high-carb diet does, or a high-carb meal, I should say in this case, can do is it's going to spike your insulin, and then that insulin spike, when it comes up, it's going to come down. And with that kind of crash, although crash isn't really the best kind of term here, but that down side of the insulin when it's already shuttled all as much of the blood glucose into cells is it's actually going to cause your body to become more parasympathetic. So having carbs later in the day can definitely help with getting a deeper sleep. This is, of course, reliant on the fact that you deserve to have the carbs and that you are actually able to handle your carbs. If you're a diabetic, this isn't for you. If you are somebody who trains rigorously, you're an athlete, this is for you. Using carbs later in the day to help you sleep, which will then, as you're sleeping, as long as you have protein with it, will allow your tissues to use that protein. Carbohydrate is protein sparing, so it will allow you to be able to use those proteins that you eat to rebuild tissue and improve your recovery, while the carbohydrate is keeping your blood sugars going and allowing your body to get into that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system state, and you sleep. Other than that, like, just to recap it, so favorite things when it comes to sleep supplementation is magnesium threonate, inositol, L-theanine. If you can't necessarily get magnesium threonate because it is very expensive, magnesium glycinate can also be good to use just because it helps to relax tissue, musculoskeletal tissue. And then if you're in dire straits, looking at using 1 milligram of melatonin, nothing more than that, and then using carbs to your advantage and having carbs late in the evening. That will allow you to get into that rest and digest state, lets you calm down, lets you sleep a little bit easier. Just think about any time you have a high carb meal, you feel a little drowsy after. Alright, thank you for watching right to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more content by me, click the subscribe button here, and for another YouTube suggested video by me, click here. And if you liked what you saw today, don't forget, click the little like button below. Until next time, Coach Tony, Risling Podium Performance.